Okay. Yay! We're live. Hi, everybody. Okay. So, hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And I'm just going to give a quick intro. This is kind of going to be a free-for-all. Sorry for the baby sounds in the background. This is going to be kind of like a free-for-all panel, but I've elected myself to introduce what we're doing, which is an arts and crafts panel. And I'm super excited because our arts and crafts are kind of inspired by one of the books on this panel. So if anybody wants to guess what it is, then go ahead and guess right now. But you have like 5 seconds because I'm going to ask everyone to hold up what your arts and crafts thing is in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So yeah, we were inspired by Where Dreams Descend, which is Janella's book. So that's actually a good intro to having everyone introduce themselves in your books. And Janella, you go first.
Okay. Hello, I'm Janella, and I wrote Where Dreams Descend right here. And it is basically Phantom of the Opera meets Moulin Rouge and the Night Circus, and it follows an ambitious, powerful showgirl who takes center stage in a magical competition that goes very wrong behind the scenes. And it's got romance and magicians and circuses, and it's really fun.
Yeah, it's an indie bestseller.
Yes, it's an instant bestseller. Where Dreams Descend. Yeah. Mara, why don't you go next?
Hi, I'm Mara Fitzgerald. My debut is the only book on the panel that is not out yet. It is out October 13th. It is called Beyond the Ruby Veil, and it is about a chaotic, villainous lesbian. That's all.
Yes.
I love it so much. How about you, Katie?
I am Katy Rose Pool. I am the author of Herald from Darkness and its sequel, As the Shadow Rises, which just came out last Tuesday. And the series is basically about this prophecy that predicts the Age of Darkness, and 5 characters who are all involved in this prophecy in one way or another, although they may not know it at first. And they're trying to figure out whether they're going to be the ones to stop the Age of Darkness or if they're going to be the ones to start it.
I love it so much. I'm so excited to read the next book. Foody, how about you?
So I'm Amanda Foody. I wrote the Shadow Game trilogy, the last of which book, Queen of Volts, just came out on almost a whole week ago now, back on Tuesday. And the series is Boardwalk Empire meets Spirited Away. Oh, thank you for having my book, Katie. I don't have the next name. So that's that.
Awesome. And I'm Kat Cho. I'm the author of Wicked Fox and Vicious Spirits, which is here in the shadows behind me, based on Korean mythology of the Gumiho, which is a 9-tailed fox who's lived for 1,000 years and can now, thank you, Katie, you're so prepared. Yeah, so she can now morph into a beautiful girl to lure in her prey and live forever. Paranormal romance with a lot of K-drama yumminess thrown in. So I think, Mara, you have assignments for us because we're not only going to be painting our masks, but we're going to do it based on each other's covers.
That's right. So not only are we going to attempt to paint masks, which I don't think any of us are good at, as far as I know, but we are going to try and paint each other's book covers onto the masks. So I have done an Excel spreadsheet to randomly assign, and I am going to read out your assignments now. So Janella, you are going to be painting Queen of Volts.
Yeah!
Oh, nice.
Katie, you are going to be painting Vicious Spirits.
Ooh.
Amanda, you're going to be painting my book, Beyond the Ruby Veil. Kat, good luck. Kat, you're going to be painting As the Shadow Rises.
Okay.
And I'm going to be painting Where Dreams Descend. Yeah. I'm not sure I have enough red paint. But
Great. I did buy a purple just for this reason.
Oh my gosh.
3 shades of purple in my Rolodex of acrylic paint.
I unfortunately don't have green, so we'll see how the mixing goes.
My mask is already white. So-
Wait, so do we consider As the Shadow Rises? We consider that red, right? Or is it like orangey red?
It's red.
I would
Okay,
say that's red.
Let's just say it's red because I have red.
Red.
Okay. Cool. I'm so scared right now. Okay. So how are you guys all doing? Quarantine styles with the like books coming out and promo and all of that stuff.
Tiring.
It has definitely been, it's definitely been a time.
Well, all of you had your books come out like very recently. So obviously you guys have been doing like a lot of promo and stuff like that. And also all of you except Janella released a second or last book in a series. So Janella, how did it feel to be a debut? And then the rest of you, how did it feel to sort of continue or finish a series? Janella,
Too soon. Just too soon.
Janella's face.
Well, it's weird because I feel like the book literally came out like 2 weeks ago, a week and a half, and it feels like 5 years since it came out. Time extremely has no meaning, even more so after debut. But it was so much fun. I didn't know how I was going to feel when I got to that point because this weird has just been very strange. And so I was like, am I going to feel blah? Am I going to feel happy? Like, am I just going to be like, well, it's today? But honestly, like, I feel like everyone really came out with support in ways that I didn't expect. And it just made the day so special. And yeah, I'm very relieved to be on the other side, let's just say.
I loved seeing all the Where Dreams Descend cosplay. There were like 20 people cosplaying Janella's main character.
I was like losing my mind. Losing my mind. It was beautiful.
It was amazing.
It was amazing. Yeah. Also, I'd like everyone to see that I already messed up and like got paint everywhere. This red paint that I'm using, because I forgot to get red like craft paint, is my 2-year-old niece's finger paint. So that's happening right now over here. Thank you, everybody.
What could go wrong? Are we going to let everybody vote at the end about who has the best one?
No.
Don't do that,
Crush my spirit, then
Yeah, that would make it so sad. I feel like people should just say which one is their favorite, but like, let's not
Silently.
count the votes. Silently in your hearts, say which one's your favorite, but please do not tell us. This is like when we say like, do not tag us in reviews.
What are we going for here? Because I'm not going to paint people on this mask.
Yeah, I mean, you could go abstracts.
I think I'm going to do a little bit of an interpretation.
Yeah,
I've
like
also
a vicious
already-
spirit.
A Katy Poole
Inspired.
original.
Please paint an accurate representation of my actual cover onto the mask. Please and thank you. Yeah, well, okay, I'll answer the question that Mara asked because I feel like we should actually talk about our books, maybe. I don't know. We don't have to, but
I don't know. Seems fake.
Well, my book, I think was interesting in that it's both a second book and a last book, since mine's a duology, which like Janella, you're doing a duology, and Mara, yours is a duology, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So like top row is team duology and bottom row is team trilogy.
That's
Wow.
right.
Not that I'm trying to pit us against each other or anything, but it just happens that way.
Oh, I thought this wasn't a competition. Okay.
I'm pretty sure I saw a tweet from you, Mara, that said it was. So like, I don't believe you.
I don't know. I'm like talking a really big game, but like my mask is going to look like garbage. So I don't know what I think I'm doing.
So yeah, writing a second book was hard to begin with because I've never seriously written a sequel before. If you don't count like these like a horseback riding chapter books I wrote when I was 11 years old. Yes, I like
I count
horseback
that.
riding.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you. But yeah, so like this is the first sequel for actual publication that I wrote, and it was like freaking hard, man. Like I think part of the reason is because like I have a lot of high expectations for sequels, and so I was like, well, now I kind of like dug myself this hole because I have publicly talked about how much I care about like a sequel not dropping the ball. So if I drop the ball, like the internet remembers forever, and someone will find one of those tweets where I was like, I'm so disappointed with like The Last Skywalker or something like that. You know?
Oh my God.
So I was like, I have to try my hardest, even though I feel like I'm dying inside constantly writing this book. But it was super fun. I won't discount that because like I love exploring characters more, and you get to do that with sequels. You get to like delve into the characters more. So that was super fun. But it's a lot of pressure, man.
Yeah, so
I
they
don't know.
say, you know, they say like the beginning of your book sells the reader on that book, but the end of the book sells them on your next book. So I feel like the sequel is the most extreme version of that, because it's like if you can show that you can pull it off, I feel like your readers will be very pleased. That's how I feel. As a reader.
That's
I
a
feel
smart
that
thing
way
to say.
about second book. I know you guys have heard me talk about this because this is all I talked about for a year while I was writing this book. In my opinion, the series that can really pull off a second book, and whether it's a duology or a trilogy, like those are always my favorite series. When you like read the second book and you're like, oh, this just took everything to a new level, and you just have that like sense of expanding the story and evolving the story. I think we've talked about this, Mara.
Yeah, and so we talk about how we think about sequels as not necessarily a continuation, but an evolution.
Mm-hmm.
Like you already know what's there, so how do you evolve that?
How do you evolve it? Yeah. So that was definitely at the forefront of my mind, both while writing As the Shadow Rises. This is lopsided. and while, you know, promoting it and you know, seeing reader excitement for the book coming out is just like that kind of hope that I did what I set out to do. But yeah, I mean, releasing a book during a pandemic, during wildfire season, it's not my favorite thing that I've ever done, but I think that I mean, there's a lot to be grateful for, and I think particularly like if you're an author, like it's sad not to be able to do in-person events and all of that kind of stuff, but at the same time, like we are able to do this, and like that's kind of cool.
That is true.
Yeah.
I think we never would have considered doing a virtual event where we're all doing arts and crafts before 2020. So I guess we should be grateful for that at least.
We wouldn't have. I am already reconsidering my decision to agree with this.
Foody's like, yeah, we should not.
Terrible.
I'm sorry. I spoke too soon. Well, Foody, you're the only person in this group who wrote a third book in a trilogy and released that. So, like, how are your emotions right now, and how was that experience?
Honestly, it was pretty good. And I think that overall, like, I hear when I read interviews from other authors, they normally will say like bittersweet and all that kind of stuff, and I think that is true. But for the most part, I feel like I'm still kind of just riding by of finishing it all. I'm pretty happy with that accomplishment, and I'm gonna miss the characters, but I feel like I really tried to make the third book feel like a conclusion and like an ending. And so I feel like when I hit that point, it was you know, cathartic, and I didn't feel like I left a lot of strings open for myself to kind of reinsert mentally back into that world. I feel like I really did close the door in a way that I'm really happy about. So yeah, I mean, overall, I'm feeling pretty good about it. I don't know.
I think
So
that's
you-
awesome to celebrate.
Wait, so are you saying that like we can expect like a spin-off? We cannot expect spin-offs in the future, or are you just trying to like lull us into complacency and then like be like, bam, this is happening?
I am not. That is not something that I am currently thinking about right now. But I'm not completely against it. I have thought about the idea of doing like a prequel or something, but I have a lot of work, so I'm not really sure that that's going to be on my agenda anytime soon.
How do people feel about prequels in general? I have certain feelings, but I'm very interested to hear your feelings because we've had a few come out recently, or not a few, but like I've definitely seen some come out like that. The Hunger Games prequel came out, and I feel like people had mixed feelings about it.
Yeah.
Like, what do you got? Do you have any personal philosophies when it comes to a prequel? Like, what would you be looking for to make a prequel be good?
I'd have to care about the characters.
Yeah.
Like, that's the most important thing is like, do I care to know what happened before and what they were doing? If not, then
I think it's tricky to pull it off because in a sense you kind of have to know how the prequel ends in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a matter of making sure that that journey is really compelling, and I think having the characters drive it, obviously.
Yeah, this is something I think about a lot, just as far as if you talk about the idea of not knowing what's going to happen in a book. Like, a lot of my favorite stories are things that you do know what's going to happen. Like, one example is Hamilton, because it's based on, like, real events. Like, there's no such thing as a spoiler.
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
It's like, not a surprise what happened. Like, you didn't.
Most people going into Hamilton really knew the story, though.
I think you know that he dies. That's like the only thing you know about him, right? You were like, oh, that's what I learned. It was like, oh, that guy died.
It's like the first thing you're told.
Yeah.
In the first song.
The first song says he dies.
With the bank.
Oh yeah, that's
Of course you would know that, Foody.
Oh my gosh! Come on, that's like what you're taught about him. That's like his legacy.
I think.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. I think it's interesting in the fact that, like, I don't think people cared to find out how Hamilton died in the play so much as they enjoyed the journey. But that's also, wouldn't you argue that that was the case because of the medium it was told in, because the music was so amazing? So, like, that's something that we can't necessarily use as people who write in prose fiction. Like, we can't use that kind of method in order to keep people entertained during our stories.
Yeah.
Right. This is why we should all write musicals. What are we doing? Psych, that sounds way harder. That sounds so hard.
I mean, Janella's book should become a musical. Let's all be honest.
I would love to write for musicals. That would be my jam.
Okay, everyone. Okay, broaden your imagination. And if your book was going to be adapted into something other than a book, anything, what would you want it to be adapted into?
Honestly, my answer, I feel like it's boring. But I like a graphic novel would be the coolest thing to me.
That's not boring. I think that's amazing. I love that. I love the idea of that. I mean, I obviously want mine to be a K-drama, let's be honest.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Obviously.
It's already there.
Yeah, for reals. I think that that Mars should be adapted into an escape room.
Oh my god. Yeah.
So cool. Oh my god.
I would lose. I would not escape. I would be trapped in there.
You would be trapped in there.
That's an amazing. I had never considered that. I'm gonna look at my contract to see like what my escape room rights are. I don't know. Do I have the rights to an escape room?
I think it's underneath
theme park.
Yeah, I think it's underneath theme parks, probably.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I would love a theme park too. Wouldn't say no to that. Just like you go on a ride and just get splashed with blood. It would be horrifying. Like, it would for sure get shut down immediately because people would hate it. But it would be incredible. I was gonna say actually, I want my books to be adapted into musicals, but not even necessarily like Broadway, like Tony winning ones, like in the style of Star Kid, like a Harry Potter musical.
Oh my
god.
Yes.
That was the perfect medium.
Like humorous off-Broadway musicals.
And just like college kids making it on like a $50 budget. I love that.
Perfect.
I'm all about that.
What's that funny musical that Neil Patrick Harris did where he was like an evil scientist?
Dr.
Strange.
Strangelove.
Yes,
Oh,
yes. Yes.
Why did I know
was
that so
amazing.
fast?
I don't know.
So fast. Also, look at my hands, you guys. Like, what's happening to me?
Oh yeah,
Like,
mine is
everyone-
rough.
Can we have a hands check for everyone?
Hand check.
Go ahead, Janella.
Hand
Janella, what do you got?
I'm flawless.
I want to splash
I'm
paint on
having
your
the
soap,
hardest
actually.
time getting this color on your cover to come out right.
Oh,
Cat.
I wouldn't worry about that so much. As long as it's like in the general family of the
But
color.
it's such a pretty color. I want it to come out right.
Oh, thank you. It is a very pretty color. I love my covers. I feel like so blessed. I feel like as a group of writers, we've all been pretty blessed with our covers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Yes.
that's why we can do an event like this. 'Cause they're all
Yeah.
beautiful.
for real. I mean, I actually really, I gotta say, like, I really love the UK covers for Foody and Katie's books too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Katie's UK covers.
They're so like epic looking. I feel like they're an HBO miniseries, like poster.
Yeah, they are. I love UK covers in general. I don't know what they have going on over there, but their covers like always knock the house down.
Listen,
Good job,
you
UK.
know, yeah, the British have just aesthetic goals.
The British came.
Speaking of expectations, it's not just like, I know the TV show is a boring answer, but it's not the TV show, even like to watch it. It's I just want to see the cool opening with like the score. You know what I mean? Like
Ooh.
Yes.
that's what I really care about. So I feel like, yeah, I'm gonna say that just for the music.
We also came up with questions just in case, like, we had no idea what we were going to talk about. Should we ask some of our questions?
I have no idea what we are talking about.
Yeah. And
That's fair. That's super duper fair. But I like really liked a question that Mara was talking about before we started.
oh, yeah, you mean my first question?
Yes,
so
ask your first
my-
question.
My question is about the romance in your books, and basically how do you decide which characters are going to be together, and have you ever been surprised during that process? Has it ever taken a turn you didn't expect?
I'll go first on this one because there's a lot of romance
Mhm.
in Roses, which I will talk about without getting too spoilery somehow. In There Will Come a Darkness, there's not as much romance in the first book because essentially what I was trying to do was set up various relationships between characters in order to have them come to fruition in some way in book 2. Because I'm just such a big fan of like those really slow burn builds.
Yes.
That was something, I feel like I can talk about this without being too spoiler because I think it's kind of an obvious aspect of the series. Like that was definitely something that I was setting up with Jude and Anton, and everything about how they meet in There Will Come a Darkness, like what happens from there, and their entire dynamic was me putting those pieces in place to move them forward in book 2 and use all of that stuff as a jumping off point. And you'll find when you read the book, if you read the book, that there's a lot of them sort of reorganizing their thoughts around scenes from There Will Come a Darkness and what was going on during those scenes with them emotionally. And as their relationship sort of progresses, their perspective about these things kind of changes or new things come to light for them. And that's stuff that I always really like doing, where you're sort of like these earlier interactions like have now a different layer to them. There's a couple more relationships in As the Shadow Rises, and one of them I knew I was setting up, but I hope it takes readers by surprise. Ooh. And one of them I did not know I was going to do until after I finished There Will Come a Darkness, and like I was like, I really feel it like this. It's like the two characters don't have that much of an interaction in There Will Come a Darkness, but it was enough to really intrigue me. And I was like, am I doing this? I guess I'm doing this.
Oh my gosh, I have so many guesses. Wait, okay. I won't give spoilers, but is it a potential pairing that we have talked about in our group chat before?
Very likely.
Okay.
That could be anything.
We do talk about like every single potential pairing in Katie's books in our group chat. So that's fair too.
We have a channel just for it.
We do.
Yeah, that's the purpose of having like a big group cast, right? Is you can just be like, what if these two got together? But what if these two got together?
Actually, Mara, you are
Mhm.
correct. That's the only reason I wrote an ensemble cast. That is
Yeah,
why.
that's what I thought.
Yeah, there's no other like logical or good reason for writing them because it's such a pain. Like there's so much like pain on the author's end for having to write this ensemble cast.
This is looking bad, guys.
Oh yeah, I just
I'm
want to update
excited.
everybody. This is not going well.
Wait, when are we showing the mask? Because I feel like I'm taking too long on details.
We're not showing it until the end. We still have like another half of the panel to do it. We have time. You can mess
It's
up
like-
completely if you want.
No, this is gonna be perfect. It's gonna look exactly like Foody's book. Exactly like Foody's book.
I feel like Janella's really overplaying her cards here. You know, we have very high expectations of her now.
Oh no.
This is really, this
Oh.
is just really not going the way I want.
Same.
What we're talking about romance? Oh yeah.
Yeah, who wants to answer the romance question?
I'll answer it because my books are pretty much romance, and like I didn't intend it. Well, this is gonna sound like a silly thing to say, but honestly, I wasn't necessarily thinking of my books as romance when I first thought of the idea. Even though, for all intents and purposes, they fit almost perfectly into so many romantic tropes and like romantic like story frames and formulas, because like it's about a girl who like is kind of seen as a monster by society and sees herself as a monster who like ends up falling in love with a mortal boy and like has to decide like what she's willing to sacrifice of her life or like in order to protect him, and if it's worth it to sacrifice to protect this human. So like that's such a romance heavy concept.
Yeah.
But I think like when I like first came up with the idea, I was more focusing on like the cultural aspects of it because it's so deeply rooted in Korean culture and Korean mythology. And I think I like kind of forgot about the romance aspect of it because I felt so much responsibility and pressure. Because like there really isn't. I mean, there's way more now than when I first started writing, which makes me like so happy and I'm so excited. But like when I first like started writing, like the only Korean fantasy books that existed were Ellen O's Prophecy trilogy. And then that was literally it. And then, but since then, like since I started writing Wicked Fox, obviously like Rebel Soul came out and which obviously is amazing. And like, and then since Wicked Fox came out, we have so many amazing like Korean fantasies, like or historicals, like I really super enjoyed The Silence of Bones by June Her. So like that's really great. But at the time when I was writing it, I was so stuck in like the fact that I didn't want to like get it wrong, that I was like taking it so seriously, you know, like I took myself so seriously writing this book. And then finally, after I got my agent and she was kind of like, well, what do you like about this book? What do you love? And I was like, I like the kissing scenes. And she was like, then do more of those. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm allowed to.
Good job, Beth.
It's like nice. It's nice to have somebody else who kind of like almost like therapies you into like remembering what you loved about writing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because like we kind of get so much in our own heads in this journey because it's so hard to get published. But yeah, I freaking love writing romance. So like I actually in Vicious Spirits, I like doubled up hardcore, like twice the amount of couples, twice the amount of kissing, twice the amount of like, you know, UST almost kisses. And yeah, it just like was such a fun process to write it because I kind of let myself go ham. I said once on like a panel that it felt like writing fan fiction of my own book.
Yes.
It's the best feeling.
But I loved it. So yeah, I feel like I always knew which couple. Obviously, I always knew which couple was going to be together in the first book. But surprisingly, I didn't intend for the second couple in the second book to be the couple the whole time I was writing Wicked Fox. But their interactions like were so funny to me that I was like, of course, I'm going to write a whole book about them. But Junu, who's one of my main characters in book 2, he's pan, so he could literally be with anyone. And so I tried him out with a lot of different characters in my mind.
Really?
Yeah,
because they're around.
Yeah, well, he's just so open. He's very open with like his, like on the surface, he's very open with like his romantic desires and things like that because he's like an immortal. So he's kind of like, you know, very much of a vampire in that sense. But he's very closed off emotionally. So what ended up deciding who he was paired with in book 2 was which character has the strength of character to force him to be open emotionally. And it ended up being the character who he ends up with in book 2.
Nice.
Yeah. Sorry, that was a really long answer.
I just have to shout out the romance in book 2 is, I mean, the romance in book 1 is amazing, but I really, really enjoyed seeing that in book 2.
Thank you. I very much appreciate that. Because book 2, I definitely understood that it was a romance at that point. I was like, oh yeah, this is a romance.
Yeah, leaning
into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, that reminds me, like, what you were talking about with feeling like you have to write, like, something educational, basically, when it's like, this is a fantasy about kissing. That doesn't mean it's not educational or important, to be honest. But, like, you don't have to be like, I'm going to teach you this. And, like, but it can be very hard, I'm sure, to avoid that pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Your agent is there for you.
Yeah, my agent, like, she pulled through for me in the sense that she, like, kind of made me stop taking myself so seriously. It's like her number one role in my career, actually, is to make me stop taking myself so seriously.
Aww.
I want to hear the writer. Oh, sorry,
yeah,
go ahead.
What's your answer? No, I was just going to say the writer is like the person who's drowning and the agent is like, you're in the kiddie pool, like it's not that deep.
Yeah, just put your feet down. Just stand up. Just put your feet down.
It's okay. Good Lord.
Yeah. Yeah, I do want to hear Janella's answer because, as a lot of people know, her book is very Phantom of the Opera inspired. Yeah. And so, like, I want to hear how you made this better than that, because it is better than that.
Oh, I wouldn't say that, but
it is.
I would.
Well, except for
it is.
But it is.
Thanks, guys. Well, I also love romance. Like, I come from a big romance reading background. They are my bread and butter. So I wanted to write something that, you know, would make me feel the same way that romance novels do. And like you guys said, Phantom of the Opera, Moulin Rouge, and even The Night Circus, they're all deeply romantic stories. So it felt very natural to just lean in there. But of course, like, some of the romance elements are not like the greatest. In Phantom especially, one of my biggest hangups, even just Phantom and Christina side, is Raoul. I hate Raoul so much. He's so boring, and like, I just I'm a hater.
Whoa. You're a Raoul hater.
No, he's so boring, guys. He literally just shows up and is like, hey, I'm rich and I remember you from childhood. Let's get married. And that's like the romance, and I hated it.
I'm sorry. So, I will say, though, if one of my childhood friends showed up and he's like, I'm cute, I'm rich, I want to marry you, I would be like, well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Like, I'm not going to say no right away. I'm not going to say no right away.
That's fair. That's honestly, that's fair. But that is not the mindset that Christine had. She actually like kind of was like, oh yes, my man.
Well, she thought it was romantic. That's the problem.
She also didn't have very many choices because Raoul. Well, besides the point, I feel like one of my biggest hangups about that was that there was just no development. I was like, if you're going to make me want to root for this very vanilla man, I want to feel something about it. And I just didn't feel anything for him. So that was where I came with the romance in Where Dreams Descend. I was like, I need to make a Raoul that I actually like. And I want to, and I think a reason why I didn't really like him is because there was no development between him and Christine. So I approached it through there, and it was my favorite thing to write because I love writing romance. And anyone who reads Where Dreams Descend can probably see that. And I feel like there are a lot of times in Where Dreams Descend where it was just like kind of fun, frothy romance, which is kind of not how it is in book 2. Or, well, it's romantic in a different way. But I still love it. Like, it still has a lot of elements of what I love in a romance. So I guess that's where I come from with romance and Where Dreams Descend.
That makes sense. I like that answer.
Yeah.
I always like the idea. I actually think it's like really good advice to kind of think about the stories that you really enjoyed, like as a kid, but like now looking at it with a critical lens, be like, are there aspects of it that I think might have not been the best at the time? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's not necessarily like actively saying out loud like, oh, this story sucked and I'm gonna make it better, but like I always do like it when authors are like, I was really inspired by like such and such story, but like I wanted to put this spin on it, less than like a discussion of like, I think this is objectively better, and more like I always wondered what it would be like with this spin. You know.
I'm being defeated by this color green, you guys.
Oh my god, I can't wait to see it.
Drawing
I'm so excited.
Specifically has been truly hellish.
Why?
Drawing, like trying to make the color of the roses stand out on my already white mask.
That sounded really hard. I was kind of glad I didn't get the Beyond the Reveal has a beautiful cover, but I was not ready to paint it on a mask.
Oh my god.
I clearly was not ready to paint Where Dreams Descend.
Oh my god, Mara,
soon
I'm so excited to see Kalia on that mask. She's gonna look
Yeah.
beautiful.
But Foody, you haven't told us about your romance.
Yeah, Foody.
And
And Mara.
So there are a lot of different characters in the Shadow Game series, so it definitely gave me a lot of wiggle room in that way. Especially with so many queer characters as well. There are a number of characters who, like as Kat was saying about Juno, that like they had, you know, more options than the typical like straight character. And however, I would say that for the most part, I pretty much knew as soon as I introduced the character like who I was ultimately pairing them with. But there are definitely some exceptions to that rule. I don't want to necessarily give spoilers, but like there was a character who I introduced in King who was introduced very late in the revision process. So there were multiple iterations of that book where that character did not exist. And then once I introduced that character, I realized, oh, like they would actually be perfect to pair with this person who I didn't even intend to give a love interest until that point. So in terms of writing romance, I really enjoy writing like flirtatious scenes, like the fun banter stuff. But when it comes down to actually writing like a kissing scene or something like that, like truly I would rather combust.
Oh my gosh. Hilarious.
I don't find them very fun. I feel like all of it is like me like technically choreographing everything to the nth degree and loathing every second of it, but knowing that like it needs to be there. Yeah, I would say
that's so funny. That's so interesting to me because I love writing kissing scenes. I do. I think I like writing them too much. I don't know.
No such thing. No such thing.
I feel the gaze of like every extended member of my family, every person who's ever known.
Oh yeah. Yes. I'm terrified of my parents. I know my brother's gonna read my book and I'm like, ugh.
We're never gonna read your book.
Like, it's a lot of pressure. What are they gonna think of me after they read this kind of thing? Even though nothing about any of those scenes is any reflection on me as a person, but still.
My favorite part about fan reactions to Vicious Spirits is whenever anyone tweets at me about one very specific scene that happens, they just like it makes me feel the most joy of this world ever.
Yeah. When I get like comments about the table scene, I'm like, I know what you're talking about. That table scene.
I literally will have people who just write to me and will be like, at Cat Show, piano scene. That's all they say. And I'll be like,
no.
That's how you know you made the impact.
Yeah. If you know, you know.
It's fine. It's not even a spoiler, but if you know, it's there.
If you know, you know.
It's there. But I get it though. I get it. I think like the most beautiful thing about like reading a romance from different people's perspectives is like different people see different actions as very romantic, and it shows in how they write the scene, which is beautiful, I think.
Oh no, please don't read into that in my scenes.
Well, banter can be very romantic. It's like
very beautiful.
It can be very beautiful. What about you, Mara? How do you feel about romance in your books?
I'm so distracted because I'm trying to do Kalia's hair and it is going so bad. No, I'll just take a break. This is really not going the way I wanted it to go. So in Beyond the Ruby Veil, in my original draft, my main character, kind of the reason I asked this question is because my main character did not have a love interest. But there was this other character. Yeah. So basically what happened was she didn't have a love interest, but there was this other character, and like every time they were in the same room, I was like, what is going on here? Like it was weird. It was kind of like with real people where you're like, what are these two like doing over here? Like,
yeah. Why are you whispering in the corner like that? Come back over here.
Like I think something's happening here. So because of that, I was like, I think we need to like promote this character and just sort of see what happens. And regardless, the romance is quite a slow burn because it is enemies to lovers, and it like really is enemies. So it would be pretty messed up if it progressed too quickly, in my opinion. But it was just really interesting to me the way, like, we always say, like, oh, my character, like, came to life on the page and, like, did this and that. And that was the only book I've written, because, I've written books prior to publishing this one where I was, like, totally surprised by, like, the main romance with my main character. So we love to see that. We love when they have a life of their own.
Mm-hmm.
It's terrifying though when it happens like a little bit further into the drafting process, because you're like, oh, how much stuff do I have to change? Like you're like, it's gonna be amazing if you pull it off, but you're like, I'm on a deadline.
Mm-hmm.
How much do I have to change in order to make this happen? Oh my God, I'm freaking out. Like,
I hate when you realize that. You're like, what would make this book so much better is if I did this like huge change that would be so much work.
That would change everything.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that you you obviously went with it and you like it.
Yeah,
right,
and I'm happy. Yeah, I guess. So right now it's getting printed.
I'm like coughing. I'm like choking. Okay. Well, I think it's gonna be amazing. So, and my opinion is the only one that matters.
Yeah, I'm glad that you went for it, Mara, because I can't imagine your book now without it.
I think that's when like, even if it's a big change, you're like, yeah, that was the right thing to do. Mm-hmm. Like, it was a pain in the butt, but.
As a reader of the book, Janella, is it surprising to you to hear that Mara talked about it like that?
I guess it is and it isn't, because like with the kind of character that Emanuela is, like I could see her literally just storming through a story on her own and like kind of stealing the show. But I could also see her having like intense chemistry with like a stranger across the room. Like it could go either way, but I am glad you went with the other way. Because I love it.
Yeah, I enjoy romance. I love romance as well. Yeah. Although, like, my romance is not, because, like, everything I write is weird. My romance is, like, weird and messed up, but, like, I do enjoy it.
Yeah, I like that we get the sense that there is so much more to it that's coming. Like it's like you gave us a little taste, but
Yeah.
like not the full meal.
Yeah, you got to buy the second book. You got to give me more money.
Buy
You want to
the
see the rest?
I think that that's great, though. I think that the one thing that I do really love that happened in both Katy and Foody's books is that their romances weren't overt in the first book. So, like, there wasn't anything that needed to be done in order to, like, make those characters' relationships still interesting, aka, like, a contrived breakup, which was, like, is such a issue that, like, you come across when you let the characters have like too much of a development of their relationship in a first book in a series, and then you're like, oh, how do I make them still interesting? They're like so happy together. I ruined it.
You did an amazing job with having the opposite, which is like Mi Young and Ji Hoon. Like, yes, Vicious Spirits has a completely separate romance, but you also are still telling like Mi Young and Ji Hoon's story, and I feel like you did such a good job of making that development of their relationship feels supernatural and really interesting. Like, it was like, okay, now that all this, well, there's more conflict to come, but like now that they're together, like how are they going to handle stuff as a couple? I think
Thank you. Yeah, that was really important to me. And I honestly did consider breaking them up in some way or the other. It's just I couldn't think of a reason that didn't feel contrived, which might be why I talk about it this way, because like it was my emotional struggle in terms of like trying to figure out what the plot of book 2 was like, is it going to focus on Mi Young and Ji Hoon's relationship still? Because they do end up together in Wicked Fox. And part of that was because I wrote it as a potential standalone, which is like, you know, something that we're told to do a lot of times when we're trying to break into the industry. But I ended up being like, well, it's not just because they ended up together in the first book doesn't mean they understand each other. They're still like two completely very, very different types of people. So like they will still struggle to figure out this relationship. Like it very much felt like a Laura Jean, Peter Kavinsky situation.
Yeah.
Like, even though they're together in book 2 of that trilogy, like they had so many issues in book 2. Like they just assumed everything was going to be happily ever after because of everything they overcame in book 1. But like that was not the case.
No.
So, which I loved. I thought that was really
it was realistic.
Yeah. So I like that a lot.
Yeah, I think it's like a myth that like you know, like in sitcoms, especially like long-running sitcoms, the big thing is like the will they, won't they, and then once you get them together, like they're no longer going to be interesting. One example of that defies that is like Ben and Leslie from Parks and Rec. Like they're just as interesting together.
Yeah. You know, I love them together.
Yeah, like they're almost better when they're together.
It's like, hey, this is a depiction of like an actual healthy relationship. I feel like we never see this.
A concept.
We discovered way more stuff about Ben after he was with Leslie because we saw him through Leslie's eyes and like his cones of Duncanshire came, and like him thinking that he invented calzones or whatever, like was so funny. And like, I don't think we would have gotten that like peek into his character if he wasn't so intimately involved with Leslie at that point. So I liked that a lot. Yeah, that's a really good example. I love Parks and Rec. I'm having such issues saying anything interesting, also painting this thing.
My mask is like becoming
about romance.
I mean, why not?
Let's talk.
I'm getting kind of concerned because Foody, the pieces on your cover are not looking like pieces as I'm drawing. They're looking like other kind of pieces.
Okay, should we say in 5 minutes? We'll call 5 minutes to.
Yeah. Okay. So
audience questions.
Let's let everyone know. Thank you guys for watching us paint for like an hour. I'm sorry if this was boring. But we will take audience questions if you have them. Like, don't feel pressured, but if you have audience questions, we will totally answer them. So go ahead and write those in the comments. And let's try to show our masks in like 5 minutes. I'm so terrified.
Oh boy.
I'm actually
Oh
done.
boy.
I definitely lightly ruined mine just 1 second ago. That's fine.
Oh
I'm
goodness.
like super worried. Okay. Do we have another question?
I'm going to scroll through the chat and see if anyone has asked anything.
Okay.
Or if anyone is asking anything.
I feel like mostly people are like, why am I watching this? They're not talking about anything right now. They're literally talking about
They're
Parks
in
and
awe.
Recreation.
Well, okay, so let's talk about
Foody, you had a question about world building or something like that, right?
What if we all kind of went around and talked about, because, all fantasy writers here, what were some of the real world inspirations for your fake world or your magic system, if your world is not completely fake?
The world of the Age of Darkness series is basically based on the 7 wonders of the ancient world. That was kind of my big real world jumping off point. So on the first book cover, you can see like a lighthouse, which is based on the lighthouse of Alexandria. And within the book, there's also like the Temple of Pallas, which is based on the Temple of Artemis, the Temple of Artemis. And I made up some of my own. I didn't necessarily just use the exact 7 wonders that there are. But that was definitely kind of my inspiration point. And so everything sort of came from that. And the idea of these like huge monuments that were built in my world, they're built to honor the 7 prophets. And then, lots of research and making stuff up later. Yeah.
Oh, we have a question. Oh, I like this one a lot. Hold on, I'll put it on the screen. Oh, it's from Axie. She says, which of your characters would have the best time at a Where Dreams Descend-esque masquerade?
Great question.
Yes.
Me. I would. I want to go. I feel like Emanuela would actually have a really good time because she loves dressing up and looking better than other people and then like bullying them about it. So she would work forever on her outfit and then just like be really annoying about it.
She's invited.
Yes. That's all I wanted.
I feel like Junu would have fun at a masquerade. He's definitely someone who likes to like give in to like his more base desires and just like have a great time and do whatever he wants to have fun. So he would totally go to one, and he would be like flirting with everyone and having a great time.
I feel like he would definitely have a great time.
Mm-hmm. He's my sexy goblin.
Why didn't you write a masquerade?
Why didn't I write? I don't know. I mean, I did want them to go to a club in Seoul because there's like some really fun clubs in Seoul. Like when I went to university there, I went to one where like foam would fall from the ceiling every hour. Ooh, and you would just be like dancing in a foam party. But like there was no reason for them to do that, you know?
You don't need a reason for foam.
I can hear an entire storyline so that I could write one party scene. I feel like you could have done it.
I'm sorry that I've disappointed everyone by not including this foam party. I really failed. What about you, Foody?
So I would say that one of my big inspirations was Atlantic City, which is I've gotten some questions from people at other countries who don't know this. Otherwise, honestly, pretty tiny city. But it's a small like casino city in New Jersey. It's kind of like an East Coast version of Las Vegas, but it's much smaller. And its heyday was more during the 1920s. And I grew up going to the beaches right around there as a kid. And so I was always very interested in its history. And it has a very classic like prohibition, organized crime history of that era. And so I used that as my starting point. And wanted to build this kind of world with that same sort of glamorous casino vibe and a city that is ruled just as much by crime as I would say that was probably my big inspiration. I did draw some inspiration from like other aspects of organized crime, like for instance the Omerta power, which is the power of the Augustine family in the series. Omertas are actually real things. They're the code of silence of the Italian mafia. Um, and yeah, so I decided to adapt certain real world items into kind of a magical power within the story.
I love that. And you said like some of the inspiration of it was kind of Boardwalk Empire-y,
Mm-hmm.
which I feel like is such a cool atmospheric comp. And I feel like what I love about that comp is that like as soon as you said it, my mind like lit up. I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe I did not make that connection immediately. But it totally matches. Yeah.
It is. We're at 5 minutes till, so finish your
No!
I'm gonna call
I
it.
still have
Where I'm
three.
at now.
You're just
Yeah.
at a certain point. There's only so much you can do.
False. I'm fixing this.
Wait,
I think we should.
give us 2 more minutes and we'll answer this question by this person.
I could feel a lot worse about it. Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, let's answer.
That didn't make it into the book, but you love. I feel like I still have time to fit stuff into the 3rd book, so I'm not going to say anything.
Ooh. I'm intrigued now.
A mystery. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm trying to think.
There's some stuff that I wanted to fit into the 2nd book about Reapers, the Joseon Saja, which is Korean Reapers. And one of the things I definitely wanted to fit in and didn't was the first myth of the myth of the first Joseon Saja, who was like a man who was ordered by his king to go and capture King Yamada, which was he's the king of the underworld. And he goes and he captures him, and like the king is like the king of the underworld is like very impressed, but like pissed, but like very impressed that a mortal did that. So he like offers him a place as one of his generals, as a Joseon Saja who will like bring the souls down Hwangchun Road to the afterlife. And so I really liked that myth, and I really liked the idea that Reapers were human once, and then after they died, they like did something to impress the king of the underworld to be asked to be Reapers. And I do have a Reaper character, and he does say that he used to be human, but I didn't get to add that myth in the book because of space.
I love that though, when like the more like minor characters feel like they have their own book, even if you don't feel the need to write it, it just helps your world feel a little bit more lived in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I thought of a fact for mine. It's not a real fact. In line edits, I cut a scene where the main character is making fun of her best friend for like he keeps a bunch of books on his bed, and she's like, "This is why you're going to be single forever," basically. And he's like, "Well, you always have empty chocolate boxes and wrappers all over your bed, so what's up with that?" That's all.
Why was that not kept though? Why?
Well, actually, half of it was kept, but the other half, I was like, her best friend is like a very gentle person, and I was like, it doesn't really feel right for him to like clap back in this way at this time. But just so everyone knows, she does have chocolate boxes all over her bed.
I don't have a good one for character, but I kind of have one for world. So over the course of writing Ace of Shades, my world had to be repeatedly downsized over and over again, and there used to be more gangs in the first book when N first gets new reigns, and I had to condense them down. Yeah, there was a gang. Oh gosh, there's the character who is the second of the Scar Hands in book 1. His name is Jonas. He used to be lord of like one of these other gangs, and I still really liked his character, so I didn't want to delete him, so I made him the second of the Scar Hands. But he was lord of one of them, and then there's another one that I don't even know if I remember the name of, so it's been so long. But yeah, fully cut that one, completely removed it from the book. I can't think of
R.I.P.
Yeah, I feel like that can also often be my instinct, is to go too big with the world and then end up.
Yeah, I really feel that too, Foody. That's All right, you guys, it's really time now.
Okay, we have to show our masks.
Yes.
Can we
Alright.
do one by one? Because I wanna admire each one's
Yeah, I think-
individually.
Yeah.
But we also have to show whatever the book cover is. Whoever has the book cover,
Oh, yeah.
hold it up. Probably Katy, because she has all of them.
I moved them, but I
Expectation.
didn't want them to get paint on them, so I'll go grab them.
Okay.
All right, who wants to
Katy,
go
do
first?
this for us. Yeah, who's gonna go? I feel like Mara has to go first because she came up with this random assignment
I don't
thing.
have Janella's book, so you guys have to imagine it.
Okay.
No, I
Yeah.
have it.
Okay. Mara
Okay.
has to go first
Here's-
though.
Expectation
Oh my god.
versus
I'm so
reality.
excited.
What?
Oh
my God.
So I don't know.
it.
I love the little Kalia. She came out looking very cute. I thought she was gonna look like trash, but I think she looks cute now.
Oh my
I think
gosh.
it looks great.
Wait, can you send that to me? I kind of love it.
Yeah.
Everyone is
You want-
required to take a photo of their mask and put it on social media after this. Somewhere.
Okay, who's gonna
Okay,
follow that
okay.
up now?
Okay, well, Janella, you go since Word Dreams
Oh,
Descend
right.
was your book.
You do.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't have Queen of Bolts on me. It's still coming in the mail. So if someone
Katy
could-
has
yes.
it, yeah.
There we go. Okay.
Ooh, okay.
Don't be wet. Okay.
Expectation.
What?
That looks so good.
So good.
Look, you actually put the chess piece on it.
Okay. So these guys ended up looking kind of like
No,
not
they
like
look amazing. You did a great job.
It looks really good.
Oh my
God.
I'm so disappointed about how not bad these are.
I know. I'm now feeling bad about mine.
What's
so-
wrong?
Okay, Foody.
Okay, I don't hate mine. Though doing the white roses on a white mask was, I don't even know how to draw a rose regularly. But okay, we don't have
You have your book.
No, I don't.
Oh
So-
no.
we don't have
Screen share?
Let's do screen share. Actually, so why don't we? Okay, hold on. Don't show it yet. Just do
Don't show
color.
it yet.
Sing a song, Janella.
Should we do someone else's first while we pull it?
Are you singing?
Also, look how much paint I got. That's the only paint I got.
Wow.
Are you serious? Look at my hand.
I just got.
Okay, I think I got it.
There
Can
we
you
go.
see it?
Expectation.
There we go.
Yeah.
Expectation.
Beautiful.
Okay, so here is the mask.
Oopsies.
All right.
Wah!
Bring us back. Bring us back.
Foody back.
I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Okay.
There we go.
Here.
Ooh.
Here's the mask.
Oh my God.
I have like
It looks so good.
a bit here, which gave me a little bit more space. But
Yeah.
I did like the yellow bit. There you go.
It looks really
Love
good.
it. I think it looks
Oh my
really
God.
good.
The roses
Yeah.
were those are just white-ish blobs. Let's be real. But,
No, they're
No, that looks-
obviously roses.
I think it looks
Obviously
amazing.
roses.
I think
We're doing so good right now.
Fresh as
Look
heck.
how talented we are.
I feel like we just found our new passion.
Let's do this every night. Every night, let's do.
Put our jobs in paint masks, you guys.
We're opening an Etsy store.
Okay,
Okay,
Mara,
Katy, you want to go next? I'll hold up my
was it
book.
Mara's? Oh no, because Mara already went. Okay.
I
Yeah,
already went.
All right. You hold up yours.
I'm so excited. I
Oh.
love it so much.
You see what I
Wait,
meant?
I love it.
That's
Oh my gosh. I love that so much. Okay, now I get why you wanted the colors to match really well because of the gradient you did. That was so good.
Thank you.
I have like shivers. Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah,
Oh
I
my
want
God.
that. mask.
We're
Okay.
winners.
All right, Katy, hold it.
All right, Kat.
I'm nervous now. Oh, what if mine's the worst and I have to end it? Okay, I'm sorry.
That's just how it's gonna be.
Pre-apologizing. I do have feathers, if that helps.
It does.
Ooh. That looks so good.
That's
That
so
is
cool.
really.
That's a really good hand.
I love the hand like.
Oh my god.
Just like,
I'm
very
so
nervous about it.
impressed. No, that's awesome.
Yes.
I would wear that.
We all hold them up one more time.
Yeah, everyone hold up your masks.
Masterpieces right here.
Mine's still kind of wet though.
Yeah, mine is like dripping.
These did
Beautiful.
These definitely
Guys, they
don't
look so
suck. I'm so proud of us.
We did it. We did it.
Great. We did better than I ever thought we could.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. Let's answer some last like ender lightning round questions, which I will cheat and use the lightning round questions I have from
Do we
Write or
have to
Die.
wear masks while we answer them?
Sure. My mask is wet.
If
so
they're dry.
I'm not gonna do
I'm
that.
like really sure I'm gonna get paint on my face, so maybe
No,
next
someone will probably come ruin it later.
Okay, so we're gonna do this lightning round where we're just gonna go in order, like counterclockwise. So Janella, Mara, me, Foody, Katy, the way we are. Okay. So
Okay.
what are you currently reading?
Nothing. I'm having a hard time reading, y'all. So nothing.
That's really relatable, actually.
Okay.
I'm reading Now That I Found You by, I think, Christina Forrest. I don't want to say her name wrong. Now That I Found
yes.
You.
I'm reading Look Both Ways by Jason Reynolds. It's really good.
I'm reading Where Dreams Descend, so.
I'm reading something that I can't talk about. So
OMG, Katy! Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
who knows what it is.
Hey. Okay, what are you working on now?
Book 2.
Also book 2.
Oh gosh, I really played myself with this secret project that I'm literally not allowed to talk about.
Yeah, like a few things. One that I'm not allowed to talk about. One that is a sequel to Wilder Lore, and then also an adult project.
Ooh, exciting. Okay, Katy.
I'm working on book 3.
Okay. What is a genre or age category that you haven't written yet that you would like to write in?
Contemporary and then contemporary fantasy.
Nice. Adult for me.
I want to do middle grade.
Very nice.
I mean, Foody, you've written everything.
Yeah. Foody's done everything.
I don't know if they say adult because even though I have finished the half of this book, it's still not. It's not like it has like a book deal or anything. Like it's just something I'm working on. So it's still.
Okay, Katy.
Yeah, I think adult fantasy for me too.
All right. Recommend one book to all of the listeners, or to the viewers.
Just one.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Recommend
One book to rule them all.
Between 1 to 3 books to all the viewers.
Oh my god, I'm blanking on literally every book I've ever read in my entire life right now. Can I skip?
Okay, we'll come back to you, Mara.
We'll lock it down.
I just read Felix Ever After. It was so good. Loved it.
I think everyone should read We Are Not Free by Tracy Chi. It's amazing. It's like so well written, and it's like got so much heart, and you'll laugh and you'll cry and you'll learn about history. So I loved it.
I just started listening to the audiobook of Lockwood and Company, which was recommended to me by a fellow middle grade author, Lauren Magaziner. And it's very, very good so far. I really like it.
Yeah. Okay. Katy. She's looking off into the distance.
At her bookshelf.
My bookshelf is like right over there. I'm like, what books do I recommend? I mean, I would recommend each and every one of your guys' books because I have
cheater.
read all of them.
Cheating.
Cheating. And then if I had to recommend one other book, I would recommend Scavenge the Stars by Tara Sim.
Oh, that's a good one. Okay. Janella, back to you.
Okay. Oh, well, the last book I read was All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson. Well, I listened to it on audiobook, and I think it's an amazing audiobook because George narrates it. So,
that's
very
amazing.
wonderful. Yeah, I loved it.
That's so cool. Okay, and so this is the final question, and then we'll sign off with our math. But name an indie bookstore where people can buy your book, and also let them know where they can find you online.
My favorite local indie, or one of them, is Brookline Booksmith, and you can find me online at on Twitter, on Instagram at Janella_Angeles, or my website JanellaAngeles.com.
You can buy my book at Oxford Square Books, which is my indie. And you can find me at Mara Fitzgerald and marafitzgerald.com.
Awesome. You can get signed copies of Wicked Fox and Vicious Spirits at Books of Wonder, and you can find me at Cat Show on Twitter and catshowrights.com.
You can get signed copies of any of my books at Porter Square Books, and you can find me at Amanda Foody and amandafoody.com.
You can buy copies of There Will Come a Darkness and As the Shadow Rises at Kepler's Books, and you can find me at katyrosepool.com or at Katy Rose Pool on Instagram or at Katy Poole on Twitter.
Awesome. And if you guys came late, then this video will continue to live on this YouTube page, and I will put the links for everything everyone said down below in the description box. But thank you so much for coming, and thank you so much, everyone, for doing our mask thing. I got paint on myself.
Oh, no.